Is that a Hadron in your pocket, or are you just glad to see me? Stay tuned. Okay guys, so just a quick update on the EVGA Hadron case. As you can see, we've got the chassis painted. I'm still working on the side panels. And the first thing I noticed is when I told Mike what color to use for the sheathing on some of the sleeving on some of the cables, the blood red I was going to paint the case with and the blood red of the sleeve is quite different. So I'm going to have to figure out something there. I might just take some dye or something, like some black dye, and just try to tone down the sleeving a little bit. Or I might just like tint the window really hard and you'll not really be able to see it. Nicely, the red on the EVGA Z87 matches pretty well. I've got the power supply back in, obviously, because, well, sleeved cables. On the back here, you can see I didn't fill in the gaps. The fact that, to be honest with you, the fact that it's painted all now instead of some of it being silver and some of it being black was enough for me. I was waiting to see if I thought that or not. And it leaves the you know, if I ever want to mount something there in the future, I can. I might actually mount the SSD there. So I might still wind up using the little slots and seeing if I can like slot a DVD in there somehow. The back stuff is back on. Ooh, power. Around the back, not a lot. This is that default mounting point for the EVGA 92mm heatsink. I am actually going to be buying one of those. I was going to liquid cool this, which is the next part you can see. I do have the faceplate back on, and the reason it's back on is I was going to try to liquid cool this case. And then I decided that I had a one-shot chance to drill the front panel correctly, and I suck at measuring and drilling things right the first, second, or third time. So even if I made a template, got the template correct, I don't have a drill press, which is really what I would need to make, you know, nice, accurate, clean holes. I didn't want to screw it up and then be fishing for something. The other problem I needed to do was the power button sits flush with the front here when the front is on. And if I had, you know, bumped this out a little bit like I was going to, then the front wouldn't have worked and I would have had to figure out. And it was actually, the little mechanism is actually really hard to modify. So there's that. The next stuff that needs to be done is I got to put the strange foot back on, which just goes on the bottom and of course screws in. So not going to work obviously because, well, it's not screwed in. And I am actually going to reuse the EVGA fans. So I played around with them a little bit. I mean, they're the stock fans. They're not actually EVGA fans. They're just Power Logic 120mm fans. I measured it to see if I could get an H100 in the top. And while you can, you pretty much have to put on like 5mm fans. Little tiny skinny fans. And at that point, since this is the only method of cooling for this case, I just felt like the case wasn't going to get enough air, especially with, we're going to put a 760 in this build. So that's kind of how we're going. Next steps, obviously the top, you guys, excuse me for leaning across there. Obviously the top is right here, so once we get the fans back in, I can slide, you know, the top just slides on. And it'll all look pretty, you know, nice and clean. And I'm going to set the top fans as actually intake fans. And I am going to put a fan filter across the top. So I need to get some Modders mesh or something, some real fine Modders mesh, or I have a couple of fan filters around that I might just spray paint black, and that'll be that. Finishing touches, obviously lots of cable management. We're going to use the Pentium Anniversary Edition in here, so that'll be kind of fun. You know, it's only a 2-core, but it overclocks okay, and we'll see how that does in a small system. To be honest with you guys, I was going to put a really high-end, you know, proc in here, but this is just going to be kind of a, you know, fun little take around with me machine. And to be honest with you, the 2 cores should be more than enough to handle the frame rate from a 760, so I'm not worried about it. Obviously, front panel, back panel, the feet, and the obviously cabling. You notice there's no USB 3 or headphone jacks or any of that right now. Got to put that back in. The biggest thing left is actually the USB 3.0 cable is blue. Why EVGA? Why? But it's actually blue, and I have to figure out if I can paint it or, you know, what the hell I'm going to do with it. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, guys, it's just, you know, a quick update, letting you know how it's going. I know a lot of you have been following it on Twitter, and, you know, I think I started this like a year ago now. So I'm actually really happy with the paint. It does scratch, obviously. I was going to put a clear coat on this, and I decided not to because I did a test. Even with the matte clear coat, it made the case look different. And I really like this matte kind of powder coat look that it has right now. I like it not shiny at all. I mean, there's a little bit of reflection. You guys can see that. So there's a little reflection there. And obviously my finger's through the grate, but there's a little reflection there. But other than that, it's really kind of a nice matte look and finish. And it just, you know, I just like what it looks like. The biggest thing here, the biggest 2 things left are really getting the cable sleeving somehow darker. I really just need to tone it down some. Even if it isn't an exact match, I think if I just darken it, that it'll be much less noticeable. And then that silly USB 3.0 cable, which I don't know what to do with, because it's flat ribbon cable, it's not even round, so I might not even put it in, to be honest with you. Like, no USB for you, use the back, because it's so far from the front to the, yeah, okay, we really don't need it. So this is Tim for TimmyTechTV. Guys, thumbs up, please subscribe. We'll see the finished build in the next update, which probably will be next week. And hopefully I'll get this done in time to enter the EVGA Hadron contest, which was kind of what kicked me in the butt to get this thing finished. We'll see you guys next time.